Are video games making kids violent? No, that's too easy. Actually bad for you. How about that? No. We need something juicy. Ooh, yeah. Turning the frogs gay. The idea that video games are turning the frogs gay is highly controversial. However, recent studies, per Alex Jones, have confirmed this belief to be true. Oh, interesting. Okay. Gamer frogs worldwide have seen a huge spike in homosexuality ever since 6G wireless network. Alright. The claim that video games are turning frogs gay is not a conspiracy. Well, there you have it. Pretty concrete evidence that, yes, video games are turning the frogs gay.
We know we're under attack! We know it! We're breaking the conditioning!
But seriously, video games, let's talk about them. 65% of the United States plays video games, with over 3 billion people worldwide playing video games. The real question is that a good thing or a bad thing? Gaming is a weird one because other hobbies that you may have, a lot of people don't have such a negative connotation related to it, whereas with gaming, it's mostly perceived as a waste of time. Whereas when you look at other hobbies, they're seen as more productive. The more time that you put into them, you can obviously see yourself getting better. But gaming is not quite the same. I was thinking about what I wanted to do my video on this week, and I was thinking, all of the videos that seem to cover this subject always seem to be out of touch people that have really never played a video game before, or at least in the modern sense. Maybe they played video games when they were younger with the Super Nintendo and the Wii maybe, but let's be honest, that's not the same as present day video games. Present day video games are more addictive. They're more multiplayer based. They're more technologically advanced. Whether those be good or bad things, it's just very different from how they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. I'm tired of seeing out of touch people make videos on something that they don't know anything about. So I guess that's kind of why I'm making this video, as somebody who has played video games pretty much their entire life and still plays video games to this day. I just wanted to talk about something that I had experience in and that I could actually give a sound argument for. That's not to say, just because I'm a gamer, means I think video games are the best thing in the world and everybody should be playing them all the time. That's not what I think at all. I realize that video games have very, very big downsides if you let them, but they also have some upsides if you control that. But then again, most things in life are that way. If you let something control your life, you will undoubtedly see the downside of it. And gaming is no different. I guess when we get into the real meat and potatoes of this video, let's start with the pros and cons. What are some of the pros? What are you going to gain from video games? Well, there's a lot of different things that you can gain from video games. The social aspect of it is remarkable. It wasn't long ago that I used to play video games with my friends back in high school. And I wouldn't say that video games were necessarily mainstream. Obviously, they were mainstream, but they really, really took over when two things happened. I feel like when Fortnite came out, that absolutely exploded gaming. Like, everybody that I know was playing Fortnite, and it gave everybody that feeling of when they were kids and playing video games with their friends again. When everybody was locked down and they couldn't go to school, they couldn't go to work, they had to stay at their house. So what did they pick up? They picked up video games. And when everybody was at their least social point in their life, more or less, when they had to stay home and they couldn't go out and see anybody, they had video games that they could go on the internet and talk to either their friends that they were playing with or just some random people and sort of socialize a little bit. Something else about video games is if you are somebody who stresses out a lot at work, if you just come home and relax and play some single player game and just take your mind off things, it is very helpful in doing that and allowing you to just sit back and relax. Now, with that being said, that can have some potential downsides if you let it get to you, but we'll get into that later. Another pro for video games, in very quick reaction timing based games, your hand eye coordination, your problem solving skills, your teamwork skills, those all increase because of video games and having to be on your toes, in the zone, thinking things through with your head fully, and also thinking about what your teammates are doing. And it's very good at benefiting in those areas, as well as cognitive benefits. I mean, there have been studies where playing video games increase your ability to memorize things. They can help with your attention and even your mental flexibility. And then another thing, video games. If you have an hour before you have to go out to an event and you don't really have enough time to do anything else, or you don't really feel like going out and doing something for that 1 hour or 2 hours, video games are a great way to kill time just before you have to go do something else and you didn't have any other way to fill that time prior to that. Alrighty, now for the negative side. I was researching videos on this just to see the effects of video games that it had on people. And a lot of the videos that I saw were parents going up to their children that were playing video games and basically just turning the video game off on them and seeing how they react. And hint, it was not well because they were so focused on this thing, and their parent just basically shut it off, and they're sitting there videotaping and recording and laughing at them basically. I think from an outside perspective, it's very sad to see a kid who's playing video games act that just outlandish when something so simple happens like that. But then again, you kind of have to take a step back and just look at the situation for what it is. It's like if your kid is playing video games, don't feel that that child has control over you. Just if you want them to stop, just tell them to stop playing. You don't need to go unplug their game system and have them freak out and record it for everybody to see online. The fault is just as much on the parent as it is on the child there, if not more so on the parent. At the end of the day, you're raising the kids, they're not raising you. But going past that, video games can have some real negative side effects. Most of them just stem from playing too many video games and being basically addicted to video games, which, as dorky as it sounds, addiction to video games is a real thing. And as silly as it is to admit it, I feel like at one point in my life, I definitely had an addiction to video games to where I would just sit and play them and waste my life away and think about video games all the time, which is sad looking back at it, but it's definitely a real thing. And from this addiction to video games, it causes so much mental distress. It causes your physical health to just deteriorate before your eyes. You're not getting up, you're not moving. You can just sit there on your computer or on your gaming system or on your phone all day long and just waste your life away. And the way that video games are designed nowadays, it's meant to keep you on that video game for as long as possible. So you're not even thinking about getting off and going to do something else. You may not even realize that 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 12 hours have passed, and you may not even know it. Now, from this extended period of play, I mean, so many factors come into it. You can get headaches, just your eyes, it starts to wear on your eyes so bad. Your eyes just get strained from staring at a screen for so long. After a while, staring at screens for so long, it causes your vision to just deteriorate to the point where that's permanent damage and you're damaging your eyes permanently. That's not to say that your eyes wouldn't have deteriorated doing something else, but it's definitely a factor leading to it. And now that's not just video games. I mean, everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. They're looking at it all the time. And that is helping the eye problem just as much as video games are. Not to mention the sleep issues that you can face. You're staying up way too late, and when you finally do go to bed, since you were gaming all day long, your eyes are so burnt out, and just the way that the brain works, since you've been staring at a screen, it is so much harder to get sleep than if you got off the video games hours earlier and were just reading or talking or doing whatever other than something on a screen. It is so much harder to fall asleep. It comes with neck problems and back problems just because of the posture. The way that most video game players are sitting is not the most optimal way. Newsflash, it's not the most optimal way. So, again, with the health problems, there's people just becoming overweight because they're not getting up and moving, people getting back problems because they're just sitting in a terrible position all day long. And carpal tunnel, that's a real thing. If you're playing on a computer, your keyboard, with the way you have your fingers, your mouse, that can cause carpal tunnel down the long road if you play for so long. And also, if you're holding a controller, it's no different. Carpal tunnel can be a side effect of playing video games. And then on the social side, it can also be a con too. I mean, you're playing online with your friends sometimes, with random people a lot of the time. That social interaction may be good some of the time and may be bad some of the time. However, it's a lot of people being anonymous, so people are prone to be more negative and more vicious online when they're anonymous, simply because you don't know who they are. They have no reason to prove themselves to you. You're just some random person online. So people can be as mean and as vulgar and dirty as they want to be with no repercussions, basically. So there's a lot of things that video games have going for it in the positive direction. But there's also those same things if you play for too long or play too much without just taking a break and going and looking at nature or just going outside into the real world. Those positive benefits may eventually just turn complete 180 and be your downfall as well if you play too much. In my personal experience, I've played a lot of video games. Like, I've spent way too much time playing them than I would care to admit. But a lot of the time that I've been playing with friends. Something that really sucked me back into gaming was just playing with friends and goofing around and just having fun and just acting like I'm a kid again almost. I feel like a lot of people, when they grow up, they lose that sense of play and they lose the ability to have fun a lot of the time and just goof around and make jokes and make fun of each other. And that's something that I feel video games does very well. It allows friend groups or family or whoever, as far as they may be away from each other, they can still reconnect and play that game, and it's almost as if they're not 2,000 miles apart from each other. Like, for example, my family recently bought VRs, some Quest 3s, and we don't all live next to each other necessarily, and we all have obligations and responsibilities. And we find time to set aside each week and play games together and just have fun. That's where I think the positive side of video games really shines, is just bringing people close together when maybe they used to be a lot closer, but they grew apart because of work responsibilities or life gets in the way sometimes. Something for me, when I played with my friends all the time, we would always just record the funny moments just to look back on at a later date, maybe.
Dude, like, I knew kids that would go around and, like, when they were on Doritos and they like go in stores and take the phone and take pictures of the fucking the codes,
The QR codes.
And imagine the people who buy it then and go to use the code and it doesn't fucking work.
I did that shit when they put them on pizza rolls.
No. You would sneak the pizza roll. Going through. Bro, that's fucked.
Just imagine
Timmy wants his double X. Mom, don't forget the fucking pizza rolls.
Then he gets home and Timmy doesn't get
What has
any
already
of
been
them.
used?
Mom, do you have a spare Xbox that you're not telling me about?
I'm calling 1-800 Call of Duty for my fucking redemption. Oh, I'm done. All right.
Oh,
Can't breathe.
I got it. And although we have different obligations and responsibilities now that we're a little bit older and we're adults now, we can still go back and look at all those times and just smile because we had all those memories together and everybody laughs about them still. I feel like video games are no different than anything else in life. Everything needs balance. It's all a yin and yang. You can play video games, reap the positive benefits from it, and not overplay and be happy and do all of these things with your life. However, you can play way too many video games and it will deteriorate your life and you will become depressed and you will become unfit and unhealthy and it will have a negative effect on your life. But there's a lot of other things that if you let them take control of your life, they'll do that exact same thing to you. So I guess I'm just trying to say that video games aren't as bad and malicious as the widespread media wants you to think that they are. There is a lot of good that can come from video games, but there is a downside to it too if you let it take you that way. But yeah, that pretty much sums up my thoughts on video games, and I just thought I would make this video just to put an inside perspective on the whole video game debate. If you watched this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. See ya.